The boardroom on the 72nd floor glowed with cold, white light. Suits sat stiffly around a glass conference table that reflected their tension like a mirror. The quarterly numbers were catastrophic. Investors were threatening to walk out, and the company's future dangled by a thread. At the far end of the room, CEO Richard Hawthorne paced relentlessly. His tailored suit seemed strangling, his tie tighter than usual, his eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night. Every executive watched him like a collapsing tower, waiting for what would fall next. He slammed a stack of papers onto the table. "This is a disaster," he shouted. "Our system crashed again during peak hours. That glitch just cost us $10 million. $10 million? No one dared speak. He ran a trembling hand through his hair. "Nobody leaves this room until we fix this. I don't care if it takes all day." Just then, the door opened. A janitor pushed in his yellow cart quietly, almost invisible, but not for long. Marlon Jenkins, age 54, a soft-spoken black janitor with warm brown eyes and silver whiskers, rolled his cart to the corner. He usually did his work in silence, humming old soul songs under his breath. The executives barely looked at him, like always, but today was different. The CEO's voice cracked. "Does anybody here actually know what's going on with our system?" His voice wavered like a man standing at the edge of a cliff. Silence. Marlon paused mid-swipe up the counter. He watched the powerful men and women crumble under pressure they pretended didn't exist. Then Richard caught Marlon's gaze mostly out of desperation, not recognition. "You," he snapped. "You're not supposed to be in here right now." Marlon nodded gently. "Sorry, sir. Just doing my rounds." Richard sighed heavily, then whispered so faintly it barely sounded like him. "Please, make it fast." Marlon gave a soft nod and stepped toward the exit button. Something made him pause. The spreadsheet projected. On the screen caught his eye. Lines of code. Numbers. Patterns. He understood. He took a slow breath. Then he spoke, not loud, but clear enough to freeze the air. "Your load balancing script. The second server isn't carrying traffic. It's stuck in a loop." Every executive turned. Richard blinked. "What did you just say?" Marlon swallowed, gripping the handle of his mop. "Your system. It's using only one server. The other one's locked in a recursive function. If you don't patch the loop, the system will keep crashing." The room went dead silent. The crew chuckled nervously. Thanks. But this is a complex issue. Our engineers are working on." "No, he's right." The CTO stood, eyes wide. That actually makes sense." Marlon hesitated. "I didn't mean to intrude. Just saw the code." The executives exchanged confused looks. Richard stepped closer. "You can read that. You understand this system." Marlon nodded. "Huh?" He took a breath that sounded like he'd been waiting years to let it out. "I used to build these systems, sir. I was a software architect. Worked at several startups. Even designed a load balancing protocol once. But life happened. Things fell apart. So now I clean floors." The room echoed with the weight of truths no one expected. Richard stared at him, as if trying to recognize a man he had never taken the time to see. "You worked in tech?" "I have a master's degree in computer science," Marlon said softly. "Lost my wife, lost my home, needed a job quick. This was the only place that called back." Shame flickered across several faces. Richard's jaw tightened. "Come here." Marlon stepped cautiously toward the massive touchscreen. "Can you fix it?" Richard asked, his voice trembling again. Marlon gently pushed his mop aside, wiped his hands on his coveralls and looked at the code. He tapped the screen. His hands moved quickly, not rushed, confident. Every swipe. Every command was precise. Elegant. Genius. Executives leaned forward, as if witnessing something holy. The screen filled with corrected lines of code, patches and rewritten logic that stabilized the entire system in seconds. Seconds. The CTO gasped. "That would have taken our whole team at least a week." A notification pinged. "System restored servers. Online load balancing." OPTIML. Richard covered his mouth with his hand. Then he whispered it again, this time with awe. "Not desperation, please. Make it fast." Marlon stepped back from the screen. "All done, sir." The entire room erupted. "Is this real?" "Holy, he fixed everything." "Who is this guy?" Richard turned to him with trembling disbelief. "How long did that take you?" 3 minutes, Marlon said quietly. The room went silent again, but this time, out of respect. Deep, heavy respect. Richard walked up to him slowly, almost unsure of how to address someone who had saved the company with the same hands that carried a mop. "Marlon," he said softly, "you don't belong in a janitor's uniform." Marlon lowered his eyes. "It's honest work, sir." "It is," Richard agreed, "but you are far more than this job." He turned to the stunned execs. "I want HR in here now. Draft a senior engineering position. Full benefits, full salary, and his own team." The executives nodded rapidly. Then Richard said the words that made Marlon's knees weaken. "You saved my company. Let me help rebuild your life." Marlon's voice cracked. "Sir, I don't even have proper interview clothes." Richard smiled warmly. "You don't need them. You've already proven everything." The entire room stood and applauded. Marlon wiped a tear from his cheek. For the first time in years, someone saw him. Really saw him. 2 months later, Marlon walked into work wearing a crisp suit, badge around his neck, heading a team of young engineers who admired him like a legend. Mac, his daughter, who once cried because classmates mocked her father for being just a janitor, now proudly told everyone, "My dad rebuilt an entire company." Richard eventually shared the story publicly, ending with, "Sometimes, the greatest minds are the ones you walk past without ever noticing." And Marlon, he finally stood tall, no mop, no mask, as a man who rediscovered his worth. Because brilliance never fades, even when the world tries to bury it. Moral of story: of underestimate anyone based on their job, their clothes, or their past. Genius often comes from the most unexpected places, and dignity is something no uniform can hide. Treat every person with respect, because one day, the one you overlooked may be the one who saves you.